Today's big breaking story. President Donald Trump has confirmed that the U.S. military launched powerful airstrikes against ISIS-linked terrorists in northwest Nigeria, in direct response to brutal attacks and kidnappings targeting Christians in the region. The operation was ordered on Christmas, turning a day of celebration into a very clear message to terrorist groups around the world. According to the president's statement, the targets were ISIS fighters who have been killing and kidnapping innocent people, especially Christians, at levels he says the world has not seen in many years. Trump explains that he had already warned these groups to stop the bloodshed, and that if they ignored those warnings, there would be, in his words, hell to pay. On Christmas night, that warning turned into action. These strikes do not come out of nowhere. Over the past weeks, there has been a wave of ISIS-linked or ISIS-inspired violence across different parts of the world. Investigators have connected the killing of 2 U.S. service members in Syria, deadly attacks on churches in Nigeria, the mass kidnapping of more than 300 students from St. Mary's School, and even a terror incident at a popular beach overseas, to ISIS networks or sympathizers. For many people, it has started to feel like ISIS is trying to re-emerge from the shadows. That is exactly what the Trump administration says it wants to prevent. Trump often reminds supporters that during his first term, U.S. forces led a massive campaign that destroyed the ISIS caliphate across Iraq and Syria. He has no interest in letting that brand of terrorism rebuild itself in Africa or anywhere else. Officials are describing this new operation in Nigeria as an overwhelming military campaign designed to hit ISIS hard before it can grow stronger. For watchers of U.S. foreign policy, this moment feels familiar. Once again, a terror group pushes too far, innocent people are killed, and the White House responds with sudden, high-profile force. Supporters see this as proof that Trump is serious about protecting Christians and using American power without dragging the country into another ground war. Critics, however, will likely raise questions about long-term strategy in Africa, civilian risk, and how far the U.S. should go in other nations' conflicts. What is clear is that the message from Washington is loud and simple. If ISIS or its allies attack American troops or Christian communities, the response will be fast, heavy, and global, even on Christmas night. Another important detail is how these strikes were carried out. Reports say the attacks were launched with U.S. military power, but in coordination with the Nigerian government. That means American forces were not acting alone or invading another country's territory. Instead, this was presented as a joint effort to help Nigeria deal with a terrorist threat that its own people have been suffering under for years, especially Christian communities in rural areas. The timing of the operation is also highly symbolic. Many analysts believe Trump chose Christmas on purpose, to send a message that the United States will not stand by while Christians are targeted during one of their holiest seasons. The president has often framed himself as a defender of religious freedom and a protector of persecuted Christians worldwide, and this strike fits directly into that image. Behind the scenes, Trump is said to be relying heavily on his top military advisors, including the current chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who helped design earlier strategies to crush ISIS quickly. The philosophy is the same as before. Use overwhelming air power, special operations, and intelligence to hit terrorists from a distance, instead of sending large numbers of American ground troops into long, open-ended wars. In other words, maximum impact with minimum U.S. casualties. So far, there are no reports of American deaths or injuries from this latest campaign. U.S. officials are focusing on the message that terrorists were hit hard, Christian hostages have been accounted for, and that more action is possible if ISIS tries to regroup. At the same time, there is no sign yet of any big public meeting between Trump and Nigeria's president. For now, Washington's priority appears to be eliminating the ISIS threat first and dealing with diplomatic conversations later.